Thank you, Sandy, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the City UK, an SFE national conference supported by our fantastic sponsors, PwC and State Street. And it is wonderful to see so many of you here in person and at such a fantastic and historic venue. I love this place. It's great to be here. And our location in the middle of George Street, right in the heart of Edinburgh, ideally situated as a place to bring together, I think, the collective wisdom of the entire financial ecosystem. So to the east, which I was just trying to work out, which I think is that way. None of you are sure, so okay, it's not just me who's struggling with this. I think the east is that way. We've got St Andrew's Square with its long history of banking and insurance services. And to the west, assuming it's that way, we have Charlotte Square, which is really the birthplace of Scotland's investment trust industry. So I think we're perfectly balanced at this point, not just between East and West, but between assets and liabilities, investment and borrowing, and maybe risk and return, who knows. And on the first day of the last month of the year, we're similarly poised between the old year and the new. And that makes it a pretty ideal time, I think, to look back on the year that's just gone by and look forward to the next one. And I think if we had to use one word to describe the last 12 months, and to be honest, I can think of quite a few words to describe the last 12 months, but I wouldn't say any of them are particularly nice ones. But if I had to pick one word, it would probably be polycrisis. Our various challenges, economic, climatic, political, and geopolitical, to name but a few, have not only arrived at the same time, but they also seem to be coming together to add up to something that appears to be greater, worse than the sum of their parts. And these challenges will continue into 2023. They will test our creativity and our resilience. Now, were any of you at the SFE Annual Awards dinner in Glasgow a few weeks ago? Maybe some of you, yes? So those of you who were there might remember that I took the risk of quoting Vladimir Lenin at that event, and very shortly afterwards we were plunged into darkness. So I have taken the hint from that, and I am not going to quote him in these august environments. Instead, I'm going to go with a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was the 19th century essayist, and he said, "Money often costs too much," which is, I think, something that we are rediscovering in this era of rising interest rates. With the current cost of living challenge and an uncertain economic environment, this is the moment for our industry to be at its best, supporting the people, the family, the organizations that rely on our services. Our industry has been there for people in the past, helping them save for their future, protect against risk, and make new business ideas a reality. And these activities have, over centuries, built an industry right at the heart of the UK economy, an engine of our collective national success. Finance and its related professions now employ some 2.2 million people across the whole of the UK, adding a gross value of some £238 billion to the economy as a whole. So it's no wonder then that we've been described as the jewel in the crown of the UK's export base, generating a bigger trade surplus than all other exporting industries combined. And it is a jewel with many facets. Manchester, Leeds, Bristol, Cardiff, and London, to name some south of the border. And London is the base for some 57% of the industry's export and around a third of its workers. But well over 40% of exports are attributed to other regions and nations of the UK. Edinburgh, Glasgow, and Aberdeen in particular play a key role in this ecosystem. And if we measure creativity in firsts and resilience in years, then it's clear that Scotland excels at both, as Sandy alluded to in his opening remarks. The Bank of Scotland was established in 1695, not to supply the government with credit, as was the case with other national banks, but to meet the needs of households. And just over 50 years later, the Scottish Minister's Widows Fund was founded to become the first company ever to provide life insurance. And so today, centuries later, Scotland is home to more than a fifth of UK-based funds under management. Its financial sector, as Sandy mentioned, employs 145,000 people, contributing almost £14 billion to the Scottish economy, according to the City UK's latest report. And overall, our industry operates in every region and every major city across the whole country, underpinning much of Britain's economy. Now, this diversity gives us a unique strength with which to meet the challenges ahead. And we need to draw on all of that strength to confront not just the urgent issues, but also the existential ones. And these are broadly threefold: the need to attract, train, and retain the talent that will drive our future success, the funding and development of new technologies, and climate change and the drive towards net zero. Now, you're all aware that the work of our industry takes place in the minds, the spreadsheets, and the meetings of financial workers right across the UK. So any solution has to start with people and our ability to provide the training and skills to keep pace with a changing world. To misquote Tobias Smollett, our industry is a hotbed of genius. And to keep it that way, we've got to make sure that the talent spread throughout the country has the opportunity to rise and thrive, helping people from all walks of life reach their potential and helping us solve the problems that are so clear and evident to all of us in the room. As Sandy mentioned, access to education and training is vital because that is what leads to innovation. The finance sector plays a central role at supporting every step in the cycle of technology and growth, from early stage funding right the way through to leading companies through to public markets as they mature, all helped along by legal and accounting and audit services along the way. We all benefit if the right type of funding comes through at the right time. And in particular, we've got to focus on industries such as biotech, climate tech, and digital services, the industries of the future, making the most of our regional centres of excellence to ensure our industry can support the economy of the future. Now, these advances will help us in the push towards net zero, which, as you will all be aware, will not be a smooth and linear journey. There is now, I think, a general consensus on the end state of where we need to get to, but the path of the transition to get there is still hotly debated and disputed. We need to find a closer consensus on that transition and cooperate to make it a reality. Changing an energy system that dates all the way back to the Industrial Revolution will take another clean revolution of equal power and force. New businesses and technologies will need funding, and finance metrics themselves have to evolve as we learn how to account properly for climate risks. In all, answering these complex questions will require a strategic response built on a close working partnership between industry, government, regulators, and regions to create a new policy framework for investment and innovation. The world, the whole planet, will not wait for us. And we've already seen this year how quickly events can move. So the conference today marks a moment to reflect on how we make decisions and how we can adapt to this increasing speed of change. Our stakeholders, our broad stakeholders, require us to be more agile, more flexible, and more targeted in our response. Now, whatever form this rethink takes, it must account for the many geographical facets of our industry and their potential to add value to the economy. And again, as Sandy alluded to this, for example, decisions on skills policy and funding could be made quickly at a regional level by those who are best placed to know what their area needs. Ultimately, though, a poly-crisis requires, for want of a better word, a poly-response, one where we all combine to be greater than the sum of our parts. That's what the discussions at today's national conference are all about. How can we, from all parts of the UK, from all parts of the industry, and from all parts of government, come together to best support our customers, co-workers, and communities in these difficult times? This ecosystem of ours is rich, it's complex, it's interconnected, and it's mutually reinforcing. So I look forward to working with all of you on making the most of it, and I wish you all a fruitful conference. And now, thank you for listening. And now I'm delighted to hand over to Andrew Griffith, MP, Economic Secretary to the Treasury, who's going to tell us some of the answers to all of this. Thank you very much indeed.